Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, man?
Good afternoon, my king.
How are you?
I'm easy chilling, bro. Trying to meet your energy of calmness. Kick back. You see the feet, the leg is also well poised. You know, homies are playing golf when they like pull up in a in a seating environment and they kick up their legs.
Bro.
How's that been going, bro? You say you I don't even know the lingo with golf, bro. You're channeling your inner Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I think like golf for me is it's more a relaxation thing. Like being able to be alone, do a sport with friends as well. Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's more for like the solitude. Like I do play with other people, but yeah, it's different to like I've grown up playing football my whole life. And
Sorry, can you just bring the mic closer? Yeah.
cool. Is that
Yeah,
good?
that's close enough.
Yeah.
You grew up playing football.
Grew up playing football my whole life. Like I played at a decent level, university, club football, and then yeah, I think as the body gets older and like I had like a knee injury, which always held me back a little bit afterwards. And yeah, I just don't want to feel sore at work.
Damn.
So golf is easier on the body.
Is it really that peaceful and calm as it looks, bro? Like,
Yeah, it is. I think the settings are like really beautiful. Like golf courses are always, they're set in these beautiful locations and the architecture is amazing. And as someone who loves architecture and design, it's like, it's the perfect thing because you're getting some exercise. You're trying to play the sport, which is really hard. Like there's a saying that goes, golf is hard. It's probably like the hardest sport in the world because the ball's standing still, and you're like, fuck, why can't I get this thing right? It's like not moving, but it's a beautiful sport when you get it right. And I've just been leaning into that, like as I've hung up the boots, so to speak, just trying to play as much golf as possible.
that's beautiful, bro. Now we definitely see you, dog. Yeah, it's always interesting to see. It's such a gentleman, like calm, like I understand where the relaxation part element comes in. It does look calm, and obviously the beauty of the landscapes. Oh my God, it's incredible. And you in Cape Town, so I'm sure there's so many spots that you.
Dude.
Have you tried Kells River?
Yeah, I've played most courses.
Okay.
I've played most courses, but I mean, there's a lot of beauty in golf, like even style wise, like the pleated pants, pullover jerseys. Like I think it's weird that we start on this because like at the moment golf is also having a bit of a renaissance, like style wise. I think Kith have just done a collaboration with TaylorMade, which is a golf brand.
Wow.
I see Gucci and Adidas have done golf bags and pullovers and stuff, golf shirts, polos. So it's interesting, man. Like, of course, having played when I was younger, like, you gravitate to, like, the other side of it because you're like, maybe that's, like, old man clothing, or, like, why should I wear, like, a pleated pants and tuck my shirt in? And now I'm like, fuck, dude, that's so sick. Like, look at that old guy. Like, he's like 70, but he's fucking killing it,
Clean, yeah.
He's super clean and, like, everything's matching. It's, like, beiges or browns, white, and... that's another side of it.
That's another side of it. And I think I find it beautiful that you mentioned like the brand TaylorMade, because where I'm from in the township, the TaylorMade caps was like what we paired on with golfers and skinny jeans with cavelas.
Bro, that's so interesting. Like I see like taxi drivers and
bro,
people like wearing TaylorMade caps, and
trust
I'm like,
me, that
this
was
is so interesting, bro.
Still is, bro. That TaylorMade cap with the golfer and the skinny jeans with the clover. Oh my God, that's like that's like, okay, cool. We this is how we dress to, like, to look good, to appear, to be present. Like that's, I mean, like that specific look like held me down like in high school. You know what I mean?
Bro, this is crazy that you're mentioning this because I was in high school like heavily inspired by like NERD and Pharrell and people like they were just dressing so differently. And you see these kind of things, and this is very like early on YouTube. I mean, I'm older now, I'm 30, so I'm talking about like 2005, 2006. And I was like, okay, I'm going to bring this into my style. So I go and get like a cardigan, you know, I think from, you know, it was like Identity or whatever at the time. Like you don't have money to go to like the Outfitters or like, you know, Polo or whatever. So like I got this thing, award for Civies Day. I was like super fucking stoked with myself. Bro, and then these like group of girls were like, you look like you're going to go play golf. Like that's not, why are you wearing that? And
Damn.
it's like, fucking, like, I dig this shit. But, you know, like in high school, you conform to like a certain thing. You know, you go to like a colored school or whatever. It's like Jordan's tracksuit or jeans. At that time, it was like bootleg jeans with Jordan and stuff. Like, why is this guy wearing like a cardigan, bro? And I was like bullied by like this group of girls. I was like, I don't care.
This is how I'm gonna.
This is me, you know. And it's funny now. Like I love that kind of stuff. Like that's what I want to wear now. And you know, like where Tyler's taking it with Golf Wang, and it's amazing to see like how golf, such an arb sport, like inspires
so many
style. You know?
That's beautiful that you mentioned that, bro. I was on that like Identity cardigan lifestyle too, bro, with the Vans. Oh, it's beautiful, bro.
It was a different time for sure. It was a different time.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy. So you mentioned NRD. I mean, Pharrell Williams is like a reference point that we can equate to like so many different like, you know, like emblems of culture. He's a cultural marble, bro. Like in so many aspects.
For sure.
Like, bro, like when you look at a Pharrell, like how does an individual like that like inspire or rather motivate the path you following? Because this is an individual, you mentioned the Tyler, he impacted the individuals like Tyler. I mean, he impacted individuals like yourself too, in a way, in a very big way. Take me through growing up, listening to those NRD like albums, figuring out who you were and what contribution you wanted to make to the world, bro.
Yeah, I think for me, like I was always into like musically into into like rap and hip hop, but like the more weirder stuff. And so that's why I like NERD, because we were also skating, you know, so like skate culture is so it's so important to streetwear culture, because it's kind of like this punk thing that has its own music and its own way of dressing and its own people. And like Pharrell for me was kind of like at the intersection of like skate but also like fashion, because remember like skate at that time was like baggy jeans and lizard shoes and like just very baggy shit, you know. But Pharrell was like, I'm gonna do it this way. And so there's a lot of intersections around like style and what you're doing. And I found myself always like gravitating towards, NERD, like Gorillaz, like that. I grew up on that kind of music as much as I grew up on like Soulja Boy and, you know, Bow Wow and all of the other like more traditional R&B hip hop references. And so, I always looked up to Pharrell because of like his hyphenate. That's a word that everyone uses now. Like his nature of like doing many things and being involved in fashion and being involved in music and, you know, scoring stuff. And it was cool to see like that's an avenue that you could take. And I was always very different as a kid in that like I liked like niche things, you know, whether it was like brands or like subcultures, but I was also into like sport. And so someone like Pharrell really resonates with me and always has. And I was actually super fortunate, I think in 2018, to meet him with Adidas when we were, I think he was down for the what is this thing called, forget the name of the festival, but he was down for like
the Global Citizen Fest.
Global Citizen with Beyonce and I think Patrice Motsepe. Like
that was in Joburg.
In Joburg. So fortunate enough, you know, like one day I guess we just go into the office, kind of casually get like this email that Pharrell's going to be down and he's a global ambassador for Adidas and we want to do like the brief was kind of like, we want to do something with our creator community in Joburg. And we were running Area 3 at the time, which was this like creator hub for Adidas.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, very special program. And anyway, like just very inconspicuous email comes through, and I'm like, wow, we casual, we're quite casual about this. But like inside, obviously, like fuck, this is gonna be so cool, you know. Like I'm gonna be running like lead on this project, and we had a panel discussion in Johannesburg in the Sandton store at the time with like a group of our creators from Area 3 who had like graduated through the program. And I was actually fortunate enough to have lunch with him in Joburg at Jameli's, which I didn't even know what Jameli's was at the time. But then I was like, Jameli's is like pretty cool. It's like this Italian restaurant. It was also like, fuck, guys, are we really taking Pharrell here to like Bryanston? But it was funny because we walk in, you know, he's got like 4 bodyguards. The guys are like huge, like 7 foot. You can't get past them, even as like, you know, even if you like Eben Itzebeth or whatever, you're trying to like hustle. You're not getting past those dudes anyway. So we walk through the table, and like it's funny because people are like, you know, they're eating. It's like the middle of the day. Is that people were so confused, and then it's like, but then we sat down, we had lunch, and we spoke about, oh man, it was, you know, obviously in those situations, you know, everyone wants to speak and like share some stuff, but it was cool, like the anecdotes that he shared about like, you know, growing up, and being into fashion, and like how NERD had kind of like progressed, and how they were like pitching to labels, and the sound was very like futuristic, and you know, no one really understood it. But then he also like shared some just gems that stuck with me, and like I think the one was around, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself in a situation where you are like the weakest person in the room, or like you know the least, right? Those kind of environments is actually what like sharpens you, and like lean into all of your different interests. And it was just like it felt like advice on like a spiritual level, because you know, you look up to someone for so long, and you speaking to them like as we speaking, like human to human. And it was like a watershed moment, as they say.
That's beautiful, bro. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to take it back just a little bit. UCT days.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people know you started work at Lemkus,
bro,
in this building. 10 years later, you're having a conversation about your journey. Take me through what Cape Town felt like at the time. What your inspirations, or rather views of the world were. I mean, you're still finding yourself in a, you know, a predominantly white space, tertiary level, coming from a colored orientated upbringing, which is the arteries of the world, the Athlons and the Musenbergs. Take me through that cusp of stepping into varsity, trying to find yourself, and the channel being sneaker stores. Because I mean, you went from Lemkus to Shelflife.
Yeah. So I think, you know, with UCT, like I said earlier, it was like UCT was special for me in the sense a bit more than like the education. So having come from like a colored school, and being accepted into this like very prestigious university, I'm gonna be honest and say like I didn't really have a plan for my future, but I knew I wanted to be there, and a lot of good connections had come out of being there. And I think just exposing myself to a culture that wasn't very familiar to me, but also like just being in a space where it's almost like they promote, you know, like immersing yourself in different cultures. And that was really great for me in terms of like coming out of what was comfortable for myself. And I met so many great people and was able to like discover myself in a way that I don't think I would have if I had been in a comfortable space. And I had always been interested in fashion fashion design and like colored parents. My mom, I mean, if I told my parents that I wanted to study fashion design, that wouldn't have gone very well. So I was like, cool, I'll do this degree, which was an environmental science degree, and I'll just find myself into fashion in the way that that feels organic. And had started a brand in 2012, which did really well. It was called Upper Echelon, or UE, and yeah, we started off as anyone does with making like a batch of t-shirts, right? Like that's your entry into streetwear, because that's something you can sell to your friends, something that everyone needs. It's not too expensive to produce. But the brand was largely focused on like technical outerwear, so like garments that you can really wear in any conditions. And at the time was, I can say it now, was very ahead of its time and very novel. I mean, other than K-Way, there was no local technical outerwear brands, right? And we actually produced the stuff out of the Carrymore factory in Lansdowne, which makes bags,
Tell
bags.
tell the people the importance of Carrymore in our communities, bro.
Oh, bro, if you had a Carrymore bag in like a colored community, I think that's pretty much like your stamp of approval, because also it's like, there's a lot of talk around like customization, personalization now, but like, dude, our bags were like full of Tipex. I'm sure the reference.
Yes.
So like you have the straps, which you can, people go with like name, nickname, but then also all of the panels. And because it's like, I'm a geek for fabric and like technical stuff. It's like a ripstop. It's perfect for the Tipex. It takes it really well. And that's how you also differentiate yourself. So like maybe you got the purple one and your homie's got like the navy or the black, And that bag meant so much to me. I had the same one since like grade 8.
We all did.
I had the same one. It changed. I used to like scrape some of the Tipex off and make new stuff every year. You know what I'm talking about. So we produced the jackets out of that factory.
Wow.
Crazy. Like I think we exhibited in our first year. We got featured on. So this is 2013, 14. Blogs are like big, right?
Big.
So High Snobiety, Hype Beast. We get featured on High Snobiety in like our first or second year with some images that we made with a photographer called Pumalelo Maku. He's like an OG streetwear photographer. We get featured on there, and then we get asked to show at a streetwear festival, which was very important back in the day, called Street Cred.
Flowers to Hardy.
Yeah, Hardy. He's back. I saw him the other day. And just, dude, I don't know if there's been anything that's replicated what Street Cred did for streetwear in South Africa, because at Street Cred was Edson from Pata, Jeff Carvalho who started High Snobiety. They were buyers. The guys from Vans in Europe were there. Obviously all the big local brands were showing as well. It was a special place, and we were fortunate enough to ask to show our range there. I quickly put a range together, blah blah, like a few samples. You're not selling anything per se. You're just showing it. That was the entrance into fashion for us. And then I think from there it's like, cool. This thing it's working. It's doing okay, but like I still need money, right? Because when you're producing clothing at that scale, you're selling enough to make the next range and to build on the next range, right? But you can't take a salary from it. Like there's no way I could take a salary from it. So looking for jobs, I had met Richard through, I think, a Chinese takeaway company that he had, which I worked for a bit as well. And I was like, hey man, like I really need a job, and I was never scared to ask people for a job. And I really was finishing my 4th year of a degree. So coming with, my hands behind my back, like asking for a job, and that's where Lemke started. and it's actually funny because I think when I started, I just finished my degree. And so I was like, man, I've got a degree. Like, I'm going to work at this sick store. Like, Lemkes has always been an institution in Cape Town. We wanted to buy shoes here when we were younger, but we couldn't, parents don't have a lot of money. And so you buy where they can afford or where they have an account, but you always aspired to Lemkes. And came in and was like sick, really well dressed. Thought I was gonna work in the shop, and they were like, "Bro, you need it upstairs, like in the lay-by room." And I was like, "Damn, okay, this is where are we going with this?" And my first task was like to sort the lay-by room in alphabetical order, and that was a humbling experience because I'm like sitting there like, "Fuck, bro, like I have a degree." This hurts. This really hurts. But like you learn those lessons, and then and I think Richard and Mike, Richard's dad, was like, another OG who like taught me so many lessons on like how to present yourself, how to like sell to a customer. And I was just like a sponge, like I just wanted to learn. I wanted to be in the environment that I loved so much, and I was fortunate enough to do that. And yeah, I think that lasted for like 3 months, and then Shelflife came along, and I started in Shelflife so then started at Shelflife in the beginning of 2015. And Shelflife was really like an important, like a formative time in my life. Really like my first like proper job, I would say. And it's funny actually how things happen. We just saw Nick, right? Just like such a maverick, like important dude who really just took a chance on me. And yeah, Shelflife was really the start of all of it for me. So I started by working off in the store. Like I just finished my degree, new graduate. Of course, like being in Shelflife and immersed with that kind of product is like a dream, because like I said, I'm like a product nerd, so I'm like super into like, oh, this is a Nike Lab release, or this is a QS release, or this is like Adidas Consortium, Puma Select, and that's kind of the product that you find yourself in, like immersed in. But then also it's, I guess, like the networking in a space like Shelflife in 2015, and where sneaker culture was just like super, just blessed to be a part of that, man. And the business was growing as well. We were like on the cusp of opening a store in Joburg, and so that kind of had led me to like stepping up to like a newer position at Shelflife, which is like managing the store, I would say. And yeah, this is coinciding with a special time in sneaker culture, right? Because I think the turning point, you'd always have like sneaker releases, right? Like you'd have like Jordan releases and stuff like that. But really the point where like I knew sneaker culture was like going to a different place was probably the first Yeezy release. It was the 750, right? I hope I'm getting the name right. It was the 750, and so at this time, Shelflife gets an account with Adidas Consortium, which is like the pinnacle of Adidas product, right? So Adidas South Africa aren't getting Yeezys at this stage. No one knows what a Yeezy is. Kanye West has left Nike. He's at Adidas. That's all that we know. And we get told we're getting it, and the shoe's releasing on Saturday, and we come into work on Wednesday, and there are like 3 people outside the store, and I'm like, I phone the manager, like, dude, there's people outside the store, like I'm not really sure what to do, because you see sneaker like blogs doing like sneaker releases in the US. Like we'd seen a few big ones, Jeff Staple with the Dunk, and you never really believe that something like that's going to happen in South Africa. So you're kind of like, guys, what do you what are you doing here? Like, the release is on Saturday. And also, like, where are you guys from? Because you're not from Cape Town. And like, there's one dude in the line from Cape Town that was Odwa. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, I know him, but like, why are you dudes here? No, we're waiting for the Yeezy. And I was like, and it's first come, first serve. This time there's no, we at a point where we're not doing sneaker raffles. There's no online raffles. This is very early on. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it's releasing on Saturday. Are you guys, so you starting like the line? Are you gonna wait there? Like, how this is town, it's Long Market Street. It's like sketchy at night. Stuff's going down. Like, we can't be responsible for that. And the response was like, no, we're waiting. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like, something's happening here. Like, we've never really had people wait outside the store 4 days for shoes. And the line just grew. Then by the afternoon, it was like 30. And we're like, guys, like, there's like 20 pairs. So the first 20 people, as long as you stay where you are, with your camp chair or whatever it is, your tent. Some people had tents.
Crazy.
We're like, those are the people that are getting. So, from 21 to 30, you guys are really taking a chance being out here for like another 3 days. And yeah, people stayed, and there were only 18 pairs, I think, at the time, and they ended up being worth a lot of money. Like, I'm sure some people sold them and made money. Like, there were no rules around like, you have to try the shoe on or whatever, like, so that was like a turning point in sneaker culture, like reaching the mass. And everything, then since then, Yeezy releases have become like synonymous with sneaker culture. Like, you've seen the lines and the raffles, and really Shelflife was responsible for pioneering that movement in South Africa in sneaker culture. I would say, in my opinion. So it was cool to be a part of that, to be a part of all of that stuff. Like, just understanding. Okay, cool. These are the trends. Like, this is how things are working. Like, I think you get an important understanding of culture in a way that like university can't really like teach you, right? That's marketing, or whether we call it advertising, or whether we call it activations, whatever. So being exposed to that was like really special. And then just meeting people like on the daily, like having people like Jake or Hayden, Falco, like just people who are like OGs, who have like been doing it for like 10 years longer than you have, and you're like a young kid, like in the store. Just being around them, is cool. And yeah, Nick, he really played like an important part in my life. I then went on to be the general manager of Shelflife as well, like when we opened the Joburg store. And that was a stepping stone to the next part of my career, which was with AndPeople, a creative agency who were also working on Adidas at the time. And
do you join AndPeople and then Area 3 begins?
Area 3 was running just as I was leaving Shelflife.
Okay, take me through Area 3. I mean, Area 3 we've seen bring out so many talented young individuals across all mediums, primarily in fashion, photography, film, and even like models as talents. What was the intention behind Area 3, and what was your responsibility to the youth at the time?
Yeah, so Area 3 had been running a few years already, in Johannesburg, and of course like started in Maboneng as a studio space, and then had moved to Bram as like a store and newsroom / studio space. And the purpose of Area 3 was always focused around like access, kind of like this premise that we as young South Africans are like our creative force is so special. We able to like produce and create things on like a really nuanced and special level as young people. And Area 3 was really just giving people the platform to do that through the lens of Adidas. So whether that would be like shoots, so kind of like helping someone understand how to bring a concept, you know, through design, through production, post-production, or whether it was like design workshops, or whether it was collaborations with artists. I think Area 3 was really just a creator hub for the Joburg, Cape Town creator community that was powered by Adidas. Like, that's the easiest way to sum it up. And like you say, you know, an important platform in the sense of like the people that have come through Area 3 are like, I think with that talent, like that latent talent, and then maybe a little bit of the creative help, you know, that we could offer them and that the brand could offer them, have gone on to do really special things.
Can you mention some of those people, bro?
Yeah, of course. I think firstly the artists, so like Abelo, X, Wanda. I mean, like those guys have all gone on to do amazing things in their own right. And yeah, shout out to them. You know, I think people like Gabby and Imran were quite critical in terms of like mentorship and like helping when it came down to Cape Town, like really helping build that Cape Town community and helping show kids that like this is a route for you. You know, if you have this talent, this is how you do it, and let's help fast track your growth. And yeah, I don't have to speak about like how well they've done. Megan, your last guest, Megan, came through that.
Well, this is
program as well.
Tracy and Megan was
Both
before
of
Tracy.
them.
Yeah.
Tracy's also part of the fam. Yeah, so many people. I feel like I'm gonna miss. I feel like I'm gonna miss names if I try and name. But so many people, and the brand. You know, Adidas have always been like championing creativity, right? Like that's what Adidas is about as a brand. Like the brand really believes in it, and has always been like the underdog brand in that sense. Like that's what we're gonna champion. We believe in it, and you see it through the partners, whether it's like a Kanye or Pharrell, or Yoji. You know, like it's what's happening on a global level, and you know what happens on a local level is there's a connection there, and that's in the DNA of the brand. And so, yeah, I think when I was at AndPeople, like
First, tell people what AndPeople is.
So AndPeople was a creative agency focusing on like youth engagement projects. So mostly around like how do we get brands to connect with a younger audience, because your audience is getting younger all the time. And AndPeople was, again, same as Shelflife, such a special place. Did so much for the culture, you know, as we know it. And I think the brand partners that we had were like representative of the values that we kept. So like in Adidas, Levi's, Spotify, Netflix, like those are like top brands, right? And we were fortunate enough to work on them. And so yeah, creative studio, creative agency, family, yeah, I think just special place. Again, another foundational part of my growth as a person, and I learned a lot of lessons, a lot of hard lessons, because you know you come from retail. Again, Duncan and Mike, like the directors, really took a chance on me, you know. And this has been like, or I say take a chance, it's been like a theme throughout my life. I don't know what people see. Maybe they see something, they see some potential, but it's like, you know, you're taking someone out of a retail environment with no marketing experience, you know, no beautiful degree from Vega or AAA or whatever those schools are, but like knowledge and, hopefully knowledge that other people maybe don't have yet, and that's what they saw. And yeah, I had some amazing times at AndPeople. I was there for just under 3 years. As a strategist and project manager, working on Adidas, a little bit on Levi's and Spotify as well, but mainly on Adidas. And yeah, that's how like the Adidas relationship then continued. But yeah, AndPeople is a special place. I think Area 3 at the time, the space in Bree Street had closed, the studio, and it had gone into like the digital realm. So now we were working with creators completely digitally. So still trying to help people like conceptualize ideas and bring shoots or, you know, whatever the medium was, animation, whatever, to life in their own way through the brand, but completely doing it through Instagram. And it was an Instagram page. It's still up, you know, hopefully we can revive it one day. And yeah,
that's crazy, bro. I think my next question is gonna be like you being a Cape Townian and spending a lot of time in Joburg. Like first, primarily, obviously being Shelflife, the channel that moves you there. Now you working at this very like renowned creative agency. How would you then differentiate the energy between the two cities with the youth and also just like the reception with how the audience receive creative work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Joburg is a special place because the energy is different there. Everyone is hustling. Everything happens at a quicker pace, and so you feel that in the work. You feel that in the conversations you have with people. And I love Johannesburg for it. Like I have so much respect for everyone who has come through that culture. And it produces like, I don't want to say the best work, but it produces a lot of good work. Cape Town's more laid back, you know. I don't know if it's because we along the coast. We have so many nice things. Like visually it's a special place. It's also got its disparities in the same sense as Johannesburg. But, you know, I always think back to I would almost call it like the formative years of like streetwear in South Africa. A lot of it came out of Cape Town. A lot of good brands, strong brands came out of Cape Town. And, you know, like the guys next to us, the broke guys are kind of like holding it down in you know, like there were more brands back then. You know, there were more people doing things. And when we visited for street cred, it was so cool to be there because like the company that we were in with like Tubop and Young and Lazy and, you know, all of those brands, Soul, very special. And yeah, I think it's two different cities. I think there's no right way to do it. Like we're very laid back and chilled in Cape Town, and that's one way of doing it. And in Johannesburg, it's like people are hustling, they're moving. You know,
that's beautiful, bro. Yeah, no, that like
it's a duality.
It's a duality, yeah. And I mean, it makes South Africa what it is. Exactly. 100%, bro. And then fast forward a little bit further, Room Studio. Now you taking up all this information that you gathered at AndStudio, at AndPeople, both Shelflife and AndPeople and Area 3, and now you feel like you can, you know, take a vehicle or rather create a vehicle of your own creatively, professionally, and also to communicate a message that speaks to you, Ashley Benn.
Sure.
Take me through the conceptualization, the conceptualizing of the idea of like running a creative studio or rather being a creative agency. I want as a 2-part question. It's what is a creative agency? Right. Second, what was your intention or what is your intention with Room Studio?
Cool. So maybe I'll try and answer the first question.
Okay.
So yeah, a creative agency or a creative studio is, I think studio is probably the best word because really is just a partner, a creative partner to a brand that we hope has like understanding of the landscape and the culture. And, you know, the people who work in creative studios or agencies should always have that connection and resonance to the culture. It's not always the case, but that's the best creative studios are like the ones who have people connected to the culture, because, you know, everyone is not going to work for a brand. Everyone is not going to be able to work within a corporate structure or to get the opportunity to work within a corporate structure, because the job market it's tight, and, you know, we're in an economy where, you know, there's not lots of jobs out there. But yeah, that's a creative studio in a nutshell. Like looking after design, looking after inside work, content. You know, these are all things that brands don't do in house. They outsource it to specialists, and that's why, like I say, AndPeople was special because their positioning was as a youth engagement studio. You know, and everyone's trying to future-proof their brand. So like looking at like how do we appeal to a younger audience? How do we shift that we aren't like alienating our existing consumer, but you know, we're trying to be younger. And so that's why their positioning was important. And then, yeah, in terms of a room, AndPeople had closed down in May of 2020. So this is like hard COVID and a tough closure just because of the times we lived in, you know, that was the time when lockdown was lockdown. Like you were in your house, you know, you were really only going out for groceries. You know, you couldn't even go to a coffee shop. So, and people had taken a decision to close at that time. And in many ways, Room Studio started off as me just consulting. You know, I had come off a stretch of like working, it would have been 8 years like straight, so really wasn't looking to go into like a 9-to-5 gig again, you know. And so I started this, just consulting, kind of like finishing off an Adidas project, right? We wanted to see Area 3 through to the end, see if there was any potential to keep it running. And you know, of course, you consult with a brand, you can't consult as like Ash or Batandwa, right? You have to start something in order to bill them, basically, in order to get paid. You can't bill as like your ID number, so you need an entity, right? And in many ways, Room Studio started as out of a very functional need in order to work with Adidas and to continue the relationship.
Come again? You identified as a functional need.
Yeah, it started off as a functional, because it's like either, you know, the roots are like either I go into working a 9-to-5, you know, whatever, another cool brand, another studio, or I take a bet on myself, right, and start something. And I was like, the world is ending as we know it. Literally, we don't know what's happening, so why not? Like, if there was ever a time to take a bet on yourself, it would have been during COVID. Like, shit was hitting the fan. We were in our houses. We were told we can't go out. No parties, nothing. So it's like, in many ways, I was forced to do it. You know, like, I don't think it would have happened if the pandemic hadn't happened. And yeah, it's grown from there.
Damn, it definitely has. You started off just being a consultant. You've then brought in so many young people to work under, shine the light on so many other incredible young artists coming up. Fast forward to you directing films, collaborating with like individuals you came up with, Kabelo through Kasi Flavor, of which I'll touch on later. I want to ask you then, like, how do you then like weave the needle through being a consultant, then being a director, and then being a corporate guy that has to oversee so many like business operations in terms of like keeping this vehicle functional?
Yeah, I think like, as much as I had worked in like more strategic roles, I have always been a creative person, and I've always found you know, vessels through which to like flex that. And so, yeah, for me to be involved in like directing something, it comes naturally to me. And fortunately, I have like really a great group of friends and peers who I could bring in like really early. You know, people like Megan, people like Matt Edwards, who we'd collaborated with when Room Studio was really just a name, and that functional element. And then, you know, the team, the brands start liking the work that we're making, you know, and it's like, damn, I can't really do this alone. And I've always, you know, wanted to have my own creative studio. Like, it was always a dream of mine. I'd spoken to many like friends about it, like as we were growing up, like, hey man, wouldn't this be cool if we could do this thing for ourselves? And to also like just give opportunity to like black and brown kids, you know, coming up. It's like you can do this. You can even do it without the education from Vega and AAA and all of those. You know, you don't have to pay 500,000 rand over 3 years to understand this, because it's stuff that we know already. As people who have grown up in this culture, we know it. Like whether we can translate it into a way that feels right or feels understandable for a brand, like that's another thing, right? And that's also like the other level of nuance that you have to have as a business owner. It's like, yeah, I'm a person with all of these ideas, but like, how do I translate it through to like a brand director, right? How do I function in that setting? And that's always fortunately been something that has come naturally to me. Like I'm a very performance driven person, and I, you know, in that sense, it's easy. The team has grown. We now 5.
Flowers.
Yeah, thank you. We've got a group of like the most talented creative people, I would say, in Cape Town. Like my team are amazing, and I'm super proud of them. And I've worked with all of them before. And you know, the purpose of Room Studio is like the idea that everything really is created from this very like individual point. You know, like when you're a young person, your ideas happen when you are literally in your room. You know, whether you're sketching or whether you're coming up with a track or whatever, like that's the starting point. And everything evolves from there. But then it's also like we're creating the space for young people of color to come through and like, yeah, flex their creative muscle. And that's the purpose, is to be able to empower that through the projects, but also through like having a team of people. It's not about me, it's not about them, it's about us and contributing to this like culture that we love so much. Yeah.
My brother, it's quite crazy that like it's quite inspirational to us all that you were able to create a vehicle that was going to allow you to flex all of these like different like, you know, creative pools or muscles that you had, and also bring along an incredible group of young people with you. One of my favorite like room studio pieces is the Orlando Pirates Kasi Flavor like I don't know what to call it, bro, because it's an encapsulation of so many beautiful things. For one, the nativity of South Africa that came through in that piece pierced through and touched my heart in such an indescribable way. I think what Kabelo was able to do with Kasi Flavor and pioneer his love for football, passed on to his dad, and him positioning it in such a considered way is absolutely beautiful. We won't get into the fact that I'm not an Orlando Pirates supporter, but I think it was like a really beautiful piece, man. Take me through how that came about, the creation of it, and how it felt being in a director's chair.
Yeah, that was so obviously I've known Kabelo for a while, and yeah, I don't think I've met anyone who has a more discerning, like considered take on football. Like, and when I say football, I mean like he has it in his bio, like the intersection of style and, you know, the performance side of football and the culture. Like football is so important in South Africa. It's like music or like art. It provides hope for people, right? And we have the most talented footballers in our country, and I think that's why there's this love for it. But yeah, we had always spoken about collaborating. We had done like a few network Area 3 projects like leading up to this, and yeah, there was a film or an idea which we were asked to make for a very special range with Orlando Pirates and the late Sodwa Khoza for a foundation. And it was special because it was an Adidas Originals collaboration, right?
Wow.
So it's, you know, you see it in the styling, like it's a loose fitting top with the collar. You know, it's not performance or anything. So on a style level, super excited, you know, both of us to be able to work on it. And also like special in the sense of like what Sodwa Khoza was able to do for Orlando Pirates and the community which surrounded Pirates. a lot of people don't know that Pirates was actually formed and run by women. And so like there was that backstory, and obviously Cabello being like an encyclopedia of like football knowledge is, you know, he really is able to tell that story. And so together we started to craft what that story could look like, you know, who we could cast that could help us tell the story. And to be able to work with like Jerry Skosana, Lucky Lechwati, like these are people you know, I grew up watching Lucky Lechwati, I grew up watching that double treble team, and so very special to be able to work with them. I think stylistically and from an art direction point of view, that's really all Cabello. Like that's what he does. He's image maker and creative director in that sense. And he maybe doesn't give himself like enough credit because he's such like a humble dude. But Cabello's a special person, and he also like just understands the game in a way that like many people don't. Like he's such an asset to South African football, and he'll go on to do great things. And really, we directed the piece together. You know, like as much as he was responsible for this, and I was responsible for the script and the idea, it was something that we did together. And I think that's why you felt it. I think that's why everyone else resonated it. For me, it was like my favorite project of the year.
Wow.
Which says a lot because like in the grander scheme of what we do, it's not the biggest, but for me, it was the most important. And just special. I think when I saw the edit, I was like, man, like this is like bringing like tears to my eyes. Like it's a lifelong dream. And I'm also not an Orlando Pirates supporter. I'm an Ajax Cape Town supporter. So that's like, but again, I resonate with football. I've played football my whole life. And so, just special. That was the best thing we did last year. And we worked on some amazing TV ads, launch stores.
Throughout the year.
We did a lot of work, but that was the one that touched me the most. And the product was good. It always helps when the product is sick, you know, because like, you know, with clothing, it's a language that's very visual. And so already you've captured people, right? And crazy to work with legends. And Cabello is like a good friend and someone I admire so much. And Cabello will go on to do amazing things. Like for him, it's like whatever he wants to achieve within football, like he can direct that. He's worked with Adidas on a global level already, and we've been trying to like push for that for him, you know, because he almost like exists in the space where like South African football culture and like journalism doesn't understand yet. Like he exists in a global space, and hopefully they catch up to him. But it's beautiful to be able to work with people like Cabello. Like I'm really blessed to every day like go in and do things that like really make me happy. Like it's such a special thing to be able to do that. I don't take it for granted. That's why I work a lot. That's why you won't see me out like much, you know, like I enjoy so much what I do that I put all my time into it. And working with people like Cabello is actually like what drives me, you know, beyond the brand relationship, beyond like any rand value like that may be attributed to it. It's actually to be able to collaborate with people like Cabello that is what drives me, as a person.
What does 30 feel like?
Oh, you know what? It feels the same as 29 or 28 or 27, but shit just starts happening. You're like, my body feels older. Like your body starts to feel older, and that's why like we have to do things to like look after ourselves. So when you asked how am I doing, I said I'm healthy, because that's like so important, right? You have to eat better. Like I can't eat like Gatsby's and like drink Coke and stuff anymore. I can't eat the stuff that I like grew up on. But I also feel really young. I feel like I have a lot to achieve. That's something that weighs heavily on me, is like, are we doing enough? Can we be doing more? And we actually have an initiative that's coming up with Lemkus, which is going to be called Room for Good. which is happening in the first week of September, which is a give back program, and that's something that we are trying to do more as a business. Like as I've moved into 30s, I'm like thinking more about that. You know, like the brand stuff is cool, but how else am I adding value? You know, like we all need to do more with these platforms. We can't keep it to ourselves. We need to provide access and opportunity. Access is still such a big thing in our country. Data, electricity, you know, like how can we help kids like reach their goals through just providing access and opportunity? That's what I've been thinking about more as I've like turned into 30. And then it's also just to have fun with it, you know. Like I always tell my team, I'm like, you guys are in a really blessed position to be able to do what you love. At most of them are like 23, 24, and you know, have fun with it. Like we work in marketing, we work in branding, we work in design. Like we aren't saving lives, we're not cutting babies out, you know. Like we aren't surgeons. We can come to work and like choose to have a great day every day. And just keeping that positive mindset is like what I'm thinking about a lot this year. Yeah.
What does the next 30 look for Ashley? Like how does the next 30 look?
Oh, bro, I think that's such a difficult question. I have so much that I want to achieve, and like I really love South Africa so much, and I don't want to move away from this country because like I see the potential, and like I really want to be a part of, like, even if it just starts in Cape Town, by like making the city better, like giving opportunity to people. Like that's, if there's any avenue through which I can do that, that's what I'm doing, right? And yeah, I don't know. Like I have ambitions to like coach a football team. I have ambitions to like make more than one room studio so that we can have, you know, more black and brown kids like involved in what we do, and showing them that it's an opportunity to actually like make a living. Like if I could take one thing out of Room Studio, that's its purpose, and Room Studio's purpose is very much aligned to mine. And so yeah, any way that I can help add value to like this culture that we love so much, that's what I'm doing for the next 30 years. And hopefully play a lot of golf. I don't know.
Damn, that's beautiful, bro. I just wanna thank you for coming through, bro.
Thank you, and congratulations. This is really special to see this. As like I was saying to you, this is a full circle moment. But like, I think what you're doing and what Lemkus is doing and Stockroom is like really admirable, and it's so necessary. And when I came for the first time for First Thursdays here, it took me back to like street cred and how the culture was like back in 2012, 2014. I think don't lose that like specialness, and what you're doing is really important. So yeah, I think when you messaged me, I was super excited to come on board. I think I was sick that week, but like I knew we were gonna make it work. But yeah, well done more than anything. And such a cool lineup of people that you've had. I think everyone's impacted the culture in such a cool way, and I'm excited to see like who else you're able to get on. And yeah, well done, man. Really.
Thank you so much, my brother.
It's a pleasure.
Flowers to you.
Okay.